This case is Griggs v. Duke Power, and it was heard by the Supreme Court in 1971. And a little bit of background is Griggs was an African-American employee of Duke Power Company, and Duke Power Company generated and distributed electricity in North and South Carolina. One of the job requirements Griggs felt was in violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act because it disparately impacted African American applicants, and the requirement was not tied to job performance. One of the requirements was that they had to have a high school diploma, and the other requirement was score a certain score on an intelligence test in order to be employed or transferred to a different department where they could make more money. A little bit of background is many of the black population during that time had been segregated, and their education was very inferior to white education, and that was recognized in Gaston v. United States in 1969. So with that as a base, we know that that the requirement of a high school diploma does in fact discriminate against an African American applicant. During the case, evidence was introduced that showed employees hired into these positions before the requirements were enacted who did not possess a high school diploma or the requisite intelligence score performed the job satisfactorily and progressed in their departments. This case presents the question of whether an employer is prohibited by the Civil Rights Act, Title VII, from requiring a high school education or passing a standardized generalized intelligence test as a condition of employment or in transfer of job when neither standard is shown to be significantly related to successful job performance. The requirements operate to disqualify a black applicant at a substantially higher rate than white applicant. During the Supreme Court ruled that Duke employee requirements did not affect the applicant's ability to do the job, and so yes, Duke Power was discriminating against black employees. The outcome of this case is that tests for employment need to be used to measure an applicant Tests used to measure an applicant must measure person for the job and not a person against an abstract qualification, and it needs to be tied to job performance. That is it.